Jeff and the Moose. Let's keep building a house. Today is all about drainage. If you've been here before, you might say, why do you need drainage in an otherwise really dry area? Well, here, let me show you. So do you see that low area between those ponderosa pines, between the two rock outcroppings on each side? We call that the canyon. Well, one year, about 7 years ago now, that whole area filled up with water. There was possibly a foot and a half of water sitting on the ground, and this was maybe early May through late June. It was a long time. And that was the only time that has ever happened on this property where water sat and stayed there for a long time. And I think it's because of a couple reasons. It was the perfect conditions. Visualize getting a lot of rain in the fall right before it freezes hard. And then visualize getting snow on top of that. Water had seeped down the mountain, through the mountain, and basically rose right there in that low spot. It was the darndest thing. There was probably 1,000 toads came to life. I'm not kidding. They were croaking all night long. I don't know if there's like eggs underneath the soil, packed in the mud, waiting for a certain level of moisture or temperature. I don't know. But it was weird. So that just proved to me what could happen. Well, this house foundation is in a less severe, but a similar situation where you have mountains, hills, surrounding it on 2.5 sides, let's say. So I could see a similar scenario where this ground is absolutely saturated right here, and you get more coming off of that mountain right there, and creates this hydraulic pressure against the foundation going downhill that way. So because this uphill corner is the most susceptible, this is where I'm going to concentrate on that drain tile. I call it a drain tile, drain pipe. It's the 4-inch perforated pipe. ADS, I think, is what they call it. So I'm going to run that perforated pipe both on the east side here and on the north side right here. Wrap it around the buildings, hard line it as it goes over the edge and downhill. We already took care of this trench right around the footing on these two sides in the last episode, or maybe it was the one before that. So that's taken care of. We don't have to do much trenching. Oh, speaking of trenching, this was the water line. Remember I told you about the water line? Oh, I got to show you this thing. This thing is over 5 feet deep right now. And I usually don't say this, but I give up. I thought perhaps it would be between 4 and 5. That's what code says. The water lines have to be 4 feet deep here, or 4 feet of cover. But I still haven't found it. And in order to get any deeper, I'm going to have to go wider. And in these conditions, it's just crazy to do this by myself, by hand, with a shovel. So I'm going to wait for the excavator when he comes to do the backfill. I'm just going to have him dig that out. It's going to take him probably 10 minutes to do that. Once that's twice, 3 times as wide, I can find where that is. And then he can dig that trench there. He can backfill everything else. I can backfill that later. And that won't get in the way since, if you remember, I put the sleeve underneath this footing right here. Oh, there's the other end of it right there, just for that water line. So there's my 4-inch perforated pipe right there. Some of it is in a sock already. Some of it is not. We'll get to that. There's my hard line, 4-inch PVC right there. And I'm going to hard line it basically from the edge of this house over the edge. And I'll come out down there a couple feet. This doesn't have to be very deep because it's all going to get more ground, more dirt on top of it. But I have to take the loader bucket, kind of like I did over there with my septic line, and just dig a little bit of a trench with my bucket just to get down there a couple of feet, no big deal. And then on the back side, the view side of the house, we're going to have our perforated pipe. This is the north side. It's going to come down here, and it's going to basically cut this corner down to the foundation there. I'm going to have to bring in dirt because I don't want this super low right here. That's already 2 feet lower. So I want to slant this off. I'll bring in some dirt and then go downhill all the way to that corner. I will hardline it there and cross that little road, as it were. That's one reason why I'm hardlining it. I do expect to be able to drive over this portion of the ground, and I don't want that pipe to crush under the ground. So let's do a little bit of this tractor work first here. Just dig out this trench, and then I'm going to have to take some of that dirt and put it right here in the corner where it's low. That way I can take this line and slope it gently all the way out. You know, putting in drainage is kind of a thankless task if you think about it. It's kind of like pouring footings. No one ever sees your work. No one ever says, "Oh, really nice drainage you have there, Patrick." Not only is it kind of thankless, I hope that it is completely a waste of time, if you know what I mean. There's probably only 1 in 50, 1 in 100 chances I'll ever need this drainage at all, because this is a dry area. Okay, let's start piecing this thing together. I'm gonna start on the far end behind you. So, over there. So this will be the end that'll be sticking out of the ground, coming out of the hillside. So it needs to be plugged so critters don't get up in there. So I have this screen or grate, whatever you want to call it. This is actually meant for the perforated pipe, but I'm gonna make this work. This have these little tabs along the sides. I had to take my utility knife and cut those off so that it would fit in here. So now it's kind of a compression fit, which is good. I want to be able to take this off because I don't know exactly how we're going to have this landscape in the future, and I might want to make it shorter or add on to it. So this is what it's going to be. So this fits in there nice and snug. Okay, let's go hang this over the edge and glue this thing together. Back at it again this morning, right after I laid those 2 PVC pipes back there, PVC pipes back there. It got super windy. You probably noticed that in my last clip or two. So I changed gears. I couldn't even hear myself talk. So I decided to move a little dirt around, as you saw. Well, speaking of moving dirt around, I have to take care of a task right now. I've been putting this off for about 2 weeks, and I don't want to put it off any longer. You remember that tree I showed you a couple episodes ago? The one that blew down in that windstorm? Every time that happens, it makes me want to pay a little more attention to the trees that we have that are living. So that being said, I want to take care of that little tree right there. That tree, the base of that tree, as you can see, is void. That is where that dead tree fell down, hit the corner of the woodshed. So as you can see, when this root ball of this tree fell over, it took all this dirt with it and exposed the roots of this little tree right here. I want to take care of those, get them under the ground. The sap is just starting to run. I noticed that the nubbins on top, the new growth, they're really starting to grow right now, and that means the sap is running. So I got to take care of this sooner than later, just in case any of this stuff gets damaged. If you can trim a tree or do anything like this before the sap is running full speed, that's a good thing. So let's take this big boulder here and we'll flop it over just to put it in the hole away from the tree. Then I'll get a load of dirt from behind the woodshed, fill it in here, and I'll feel better about that. 4-inch perforated drain pipe. Let's unroll that, starting with this section that we did yesterday, and we'll wrap around the house and we'll get to that far corner over there approximately. We have 100 feet of it, and this is the stuff that has the sock on it, or the filter, the screen, or whatever you want to call the mesh fabric on the outside to help prevent sand from clogging up the actual perforations. Okay, I'm just getting ready to make this connection to that PVC right here. As you can see, this is not squared off very well. So I'm just going to do that first, make this easier for me. Okay. That's better. So they probably make a connection that goes from this perf pipe into the PVC. I don't have that with me. What I do have is this connector that would connect two of these together. And that just snaps right on one end, like so. And it is snapped in there. I don't know if you can see that. So what I'm going to do is put this end on this one first. Now this will fit over it very loosely. You see those little tabs in the inside that hold the perforated pipe on. They will fit barely around this PVC until it gets to about the halfway mark. This leaves a little bit of a space around the outside of this whole thing. And you know, it's not the end of the world. Obviously this is not a watertight line because that's a perforated pipe. So I'm not concerned so much about it leaking as I am about this coming off. I mean, I really don't want, if there's any moisture, I don't want it all coming out here because this would be the largest, easiest place for it to escape. I don't want it all to come out right here. So I am going to put a bead of caulk around the inside here, seal it up as much as I can, just to keep water flowing rather than getting trapped against this pipe. If all the water comes out right here, this could cause erosion in the future, and I don't want that. So let's just be creative. Put a bead of caulk in here. And just because I can, I'm going to duct tape this fitting on here. Again, because I don't want it sliding off. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think it's effective. Let's snap this in there now. That's it. So let's follow this around now and make sure that everything looks good. All right, I don't want that rubbing on this corner. So I'm just gonna put a rounded rock right there and it'll be just fine. Look at that. I'm gonna have to set a few big rocks right on top of that so it doesn't move when I put the dirt and other rock on it, but we'll get to that. Let's start on that far end again. Put this screen in here like I did yesterday. And if you remember, I got to cut these little tabs off so it slides in there. Okay, that looks better. So let's put this in and glue these two pieces together. Cement them together. I did this junction just a little bit differently with this union right here. And I put a little slit right here about this long it was just enough to fold it and get it inside this union about this far. And then with a little duct tape on there, it'll be just fine. Once it's under the ground, there will be no force wanting to separate this. Now let's cut that to length, put a sock on it, and connect it over there. Okay, the drain pipe is laid. Let's work on some backfill. Actually, let's eat. I have a bowl of chili with my name on it. Venison chili, in case you were wondering. comes to waterproofing a foundation or a basement, there's really three different things you can do. One is the drain tile that I'm doing, the drain pipe around the perimeter. That's the biggest one in my opinion, the most impactful, I think, in my opinion. The second thing you can do is seal the foundation. Now we are going to seal this foundation. Well, we're going to seal part of it. We're going to seal what I think are the most susceptible parts of it. The areas that get pressure, hydraulic pressure. Now the third thing that I have seen done in the past is actually people will put a dimple mat or a rain screen on the outside of their foundation. Basically any water that is pushed up against your foundation, before it really has a chance to gain any pressure, well, I'm not going to do any sort of dimple mat or anything like that. Number one, this is not a basement. This is just a crawl space. Would it be the worst thing in the world if moisture ever seeped in here? Probably not. And finally, like everything I do it because of the situation and circumstances that I am in right now. You do what's best for your situation, I'll do what's best for mine, and everybody will get along and be happy. So this drain pipe will sit right on the ground. When it comes to covering the drain pipe, I am going to take some time up here in the high areas. I'm going to cover this with a little bit of gravel. It's not going to be washed gravel, but that's okay. I'm not worried that that rock is not going to be washed because of the sleeve that we have on here. Also, the ground that we have and that we're going to backfill and that even sits underneath this tile is very sandy, very rocky. You've seen it. Very little clay. So the first order of business is taking a few big rocks every 3-4 feet, something like that, and just bracing this pipe onto the ground where it is in the position that it is. If you just dump a bunch of gravel on top of it, sometimes you get gravel underneath it and this pipe can rise up and ride up on top of that gravel. So that's why I'm going to put those big rocks on top of it for now, and then when I get closer to the end I will take those big rocks off because I don't want obviously a sharp rock with a bunch of pressure on top of this thing caving it in. Next, I want to make sure that this PVC has a nice soft bed underneath it. Make sure there's no voids. Okay, that PVC is packed in there nicely. Let's move some gravel onto a few of these high spots right here. When I say high, I mean on the high side of the house. So because we can't get big trucks up here yet, I'm gonna steal gravel off of the road. As I mentioned, it won't be washed, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll be just fine. Okay, my gravel is in. Almost this entire leg and this entire leg finished up. So just a note on the placement of this drain tile. If you were worried about surface water more than anything, you'd probably want to put this drain tile on top of the footing right here, or at least at a level higher than that, so that you intercept that water before it hits that cold joint right here. And before, when I was mentioning those 3 major things you can do to prevent moisture from getting in your foundation, the number 1 thing you can do, which I didn't say, which goes without saying probably, but I'll say it anyway, is the slant of the dirt away from your foundation. That's the most important thing. So all the rest of this drain tile, I am just going to put dirt on top of it. Not worried about it plugging up with that filter on it, with that sack on it. And plus, even if it did, I really don't care about the sides and the far end. What I worry about most, again, just the upper 2 sides. So I'm going to take some time and I'm going to move dirt from the other side of that woodshed where that pile is kind of loamy, kind of good dirt, relatively good dirt, not a lot of rocks in there. So I'm going to take some loads, several loads, and gently place it on top of that drain tile everywhere else it's exposed. We're back at it today. Finished up this section of the house last night. Brought in, I want to say 7 loads of dirt from that dirt pile on the other side of the woodshed. So that took a while. Finished up about 7:15, 7:20 last night. The only thing I have left is that section way over there in the corner. I have about 20 feet of that perf pipe to cover up. Perf pipe, perforated, not perv, not perverted. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm gonna wait and cover up all the areas with gravel after I seal the foundation. So once I seal it, I'll cover that rock up with some landscape fabric, keep it a little bit cleaner, and then I'll cover it up with dirt. So we probably only have 2 loads needed to cover that up. But what I want to do is bring over 3 or 4 loads for this trench right here of that clean dirt. That way I can get over this with the tractor to dump dirt over on that pipe. Once I get some dirt over there, that's it. Then you're free to go. I know this episode will be over. A lot of tractor work, a lot of dirt moving work. That's just the nature of the beast. My employees won't help me at all do this manual labor stuff, so I guess I just have to do it myself. That's it. All my drain pipe is covered up. I'm happy about that. You didn't want to see any more dirt work this episode, did you? I didn't think so. I have just a little bit more small work, hand work, to do around the columns and post bases. I want to make sure those are tamped in and that they're all plumb before I tamp them in and add more dirt by hand. And then at that point, I think I'm ready for the big machine to come whenever they can to bring in more dirt to do that backfill. Until then, what is it? It's 10:35 right now. I have to spend the rest of this day editing so you can watch the next video. And then tomorrow, Karen is going to come over. We have some big news to share next week. Don't miss it. No, she's not pregnant. I'll see you next week.